Hey, dude.
Just in time.
Just in time for the Side Quest Live. Happy birthday to us. 14 years of the Side Quest. Taylor, you cleaned up, got ready. Look at you, dude.
There you go.
Is it like 75 degrees today over by you?
It was above 80. It was
Above
above
eight,
80 today.
above 80. Holy crap! Yeah, we're hitting
Classic
those
April.
classic early April. We're hitting those temps next week, all week long, which is great. Going from snow and hail
Yeah.
and torrential downpours of rain like yesterday to 80 degrees jorts weather. If my pool was open, I would be in it next
Yeah,
week.
we have 285 degrees coming up next week, Thursday and Friday.
Man, it's just something's not right.
That's not good. It's not good, actually.
It's not good. I had my welcome to the gardening portion of the side quest. I've been pruning. Look at that. Wait, hold on. Johnny has entered the chat. Look at him go. I'm pruning my wisteria trees to finally. I think I'll be planting one this year and giving one to my neighbor. But so I've been teaching them. So I took them out the other day, and of course that's the day we get the torrential downpour. So crazy.
Whoa.
But check this out. Ready?
Oh.
Ooh, like a mini bunt cake. I'm about to drop it on top of my laptop. Look at that. Make a wish, Taylor. Blow it out. Make a wish. I probably shouldn't have blocked it with the stupid
Blowing it
thing.
right through the pop filter. Classic.
Yeah, the filter works. The pop filter works. There we go. Happy birthday to Side Questing. We're popping bottles. I have some
Everybody said
Rose.
that we'd never make it.
We have stupidly outlasted many a great website. And
all it takes is not being a business, and then all of a sudden it's way easier.
Never be a business for
all you have to do is not expect revenue and not pay anyone.
Yep.
And boom.
It's great. It's great. We're like the ultimate grifters in a weird way, but we're grifting ourselves because imagine if we were actually paid.
It's all lost, baby.
It's all a loss. Oh, Lord. How's it going, Jeff Keeley out there?
Yes.
Shooting my shot to get into the SGF.
Yeah, please make us your we're your spokesperson now.
We're gonna be the SGF party list, Summer Game Fest party list, showing up live. Yeah, hey, 14 years, it's pretty cool. I'll tell the story. We started the website because we wanted to get into E3, and we got into E3, and then we got review code out of E3, and we had to stick around and do those reviews. And then, hey, guess what?
What was the first review code again? We've told this story.
I think it was like it may have been My Baby. One of the My Baby games. I'll have to take a look at the oldest reviews. But yeah, it's just it's so wild. Like, yeah, it's just video games, man. I tell you, one of these days I'll republish some of those.
I'm gonna keep playing them. I think.
I think that's actually a good idea. Yeah, I looked at some of my early reviews for the site, and I thought, man, how I wrote so poorly back then. And then I look at my stuff.
I still do.
Like, wow. I looked at my stuff now and thought, wow, I wrote so much better back then. Yes. Jesus. GM Chrysler. But yeah, 14 years, loads of fun. We'll keep doing it. We won't make a big deal about this till we're old enough to vote, and then watch out other websites because it's all about 4 more years, man. Good times. But I hope you're having a fun week. I know tomorrow is Good Friday. I don't know if you got it off. I know I have it off. It'll be a fun.
I don't.
Long week. Oh, it's a bummer.
Don't.
It'll be it's a longer weekend for us, which is kind of nice. They give us the half day. Being in a part of a larger corporation that I work for, we are a cool company in that we get the half day off before the holiday. So we got done at noon today.
Yeah.
And I just sat plopped on the couch. Yep. Plopped on the couch, played video games, and napped. And I thought, it's actually, I miss doing that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. But last night, we're gonna get right into the news. Last night was the debut of a certain movie that everybody is talking about, and that, of course, is Air, the Michael Jordan film.
It is certified fresh, baby.
Certified fresh. One thing that's not certified fresh, certified maybe more like it, is the Mario movie from
it
the
do
critics'
be a little
side.
fried according to critics.
I think it's back down to like a 52 or 53 or something. It peaked at like 56. Have you? I'm assuming you haven't seen it yet. Have you, Taylor?
There's a very, very low chance that I will see this in theaters.
Well, I'll talk about it after. That'll be my review portion. I have two things I'm going to review later. This is one of them. But regardless of what the Rotten Tomatoes scores, we knew that review scores for this movie they were not going to matter. No matter, the reviews could have been like 0, and people.
It matters to me because now I get to make fun of it for being bad.
Now you get to make fun of it for being bad. One thing you won't be able to make fun of it is that it's not going to rake in the money because it's already. Yesterday was opening day and it tipped over 31 million in the U.S. alone. I think 35, close to 35 internet over the rest of the world.
I wonder how much. I wonder how much like most of China and Asia is going to push it. Because that's gonna be what really matters.
Japan is opening up after in 2 weeks, which is wild.
So crazy to me.
This is. I
don't know if there was like maybe some local releases that they're trying to dodge because like it literally doesn't. It doesn't matter if they release it before or after the regular international because like it's just all it matters is head-to-head domestic box office for them over there. So
agreed.
That's what my brain comes to.
I have no idea. I know in the U.S. there isn't anything for kids that's coming out until I guess Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is like the
that's
first weekend.
Like,
and even that, and then it's Little Mermaid is like a couple weeks after that. So there isn't anything. So this thing is going to continue to be the prediction right now from Universal. Yeah, a juggernaut. It is a giant. It is a Bowser-sized. A bomber bill, as they call it in this.
So what do we think? I mean, this just popped into my brain because I was thinking about, March, April, and what that month has meant because of the Switch. And, it's now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, so, potentially once upon a time, this could have been when Switch sequel dropped,
sure.
Right?
Right.
Movie slips in. Obviously, you're going to put that in because there's a ton of other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Do we then look at the next this time frame next year as a core possibility, and do they bring back the theatrical run, or maybe they sell a bundle with the movie?
Man, it is it's super interesting because I don't know.
They love this time of year.
They do be loving this time of year. This year especially, Nintendo said, we don't need a new console right now because we got Zelda coming out. That's a ton of money coming in right there. We have this mega movie, which, like I said, it's opening weekend just domestically is now tracking for $141 million. And that's just through Sunday. A lot of kids are kicking off their spring breaks this coming weekend. I know we're finishing it up and some have already finished it, but so this thing's going to be continually from morning to night pumping out dollars. So you could theoretically see the Mario movie in just like 10 days, bringing in 250 million in the US by itself, which is just, it's effing nuts.
We'll see.
Yeah. And they had the opening of Super Nintendo World or whatever that was over at in Universal Studios in California. So they really are sort of diversifying what they're doing, and they don't need obviously they don't need a new Switch right now because they have all this other mind share that people have their eyesight on. And so when you get into the new Switch, God, I mean, this movie, I don't think they've necessarily announced the release date digitally, but this is going to be, I mean, it'll probably be out in like, I'd reckon August. July, August timeframe. Usually it's like 3 months after, somewhere around there, that it'll be available digitally and in stores and retail and stuff. And it's going to sell a ton then, because we've already seen it. Pre-orders go live for a bunch of things. I think tomorrow the pre-orders go live for the soundtrack. So
yeah,
you're looking at, let's see, it's April, May, June, July, August. You'll see this movie hit store shelves, and I don't think you need to put out a new Switch. If you're, because then you're riding into the holidays, and people are going to want to buy this during the holiday season. I could definitely see Nintendo. This will be on sale, Black Friday deals for like $9.99 or whatever. People will be buying this like crazy. A good stocking stuffer for those who didn't get it yet. But man, it's just nuts. Like they can literally ride this thing for a while.
And that they will. And
like I said, do they release a version of the Switch, regular old Switch, with this sort of thing? Is there another Mario Switch that comes out later this year that has this movie packed in? A digital version of this movie. Maybe they could, or maybe it gives. I don't know.
Time to turn it into a real multimedia machine.
It really is.
Yeah. Just gotta imagine that they sell they put a 4K version of the movie on, and just all the Switch internal storage is just gone, evaporates.
Exactly.
Nothing.
32 megs of the Switch's internal storage. But no, it's certainly. They've revised their numbers. It's tracking bigger. It was very smart to put this movie out on a Wednesday instead of the Friday, which is what they were initially going for. So, this may speed up some things. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement that the sequel was greenlit, like in the next 2-3 weeks here. They're going to be finding that out with a date. I mean, they may give a date on this sucker on a sequel, but it's certainly puts Nintendo in a weird place because they can go anyway. Yeah, there you go. I like Mario Bath Products. The Bath Products is already out there.
ASMR podcast.
The ASMR podcast.
I think YouTube probably already has you covered, Johnny. Have you thought about looking at YouTube? You've probably never heard of it. You should go to youtube.com and then Google search Mario ASMR. And see what pops up.
Johnny's watching us through Geocities somehow.
Yeah. Dally, I don't think I've ever heard anyone called GeoCities.
Okay.
GeoCities before.
Let me say this. I always called it GeoCities. And then somebody over the last week and a half, there's a great podcast, I think it was 99% Invisible or something, that called it GeoCities. And I thought, GeoCities? It's not. It's GeoCities. It's GIF. It's not GIF. And now all of a sudden, I've been calling it GeoCities for the last week and a half, and I hate myself for it. It's GeoCities. Thank you.
So I think
GeoCities. There you go, Johnny. GeoCities.
I don't Is it an actual word itself?
No,
I don't think so.
It's not. It's City is all it is.
Yeah. Okay. That's what Geocities. It just sounds like somebody was trying to talk about atrocities, except they're geolocated. These are geolocated atrocities.
Geolocated atrocities. Oh, atrocities located on the web. It's great.
Geocities.
Oh goodness. Another bit of news since we last spoke. E3 2023 was officially canceled. It seems like it was so long ago, but it was
mere moments. It was mere moments after we had the podcast last.
It was the next morning exactly.
Yeah.
E3 is officially canceled. What this means for the game, everybody had heard that E3 was canceled, and so all I did was I just asked ChatGPT to write an article about what E3 being canceled means for which is great. There you go, good stuff. But it's canceled. It's a bummer. Only because I liked heading out there. I like getting my hands on games. But maybe if Jeff Keighley, hi Jeff, if you're listening. The in-person stuff is super valuable. We talked about it. In-person stuff is super valuable because of like we said last week and like before, the people you meet, you can make these great connections. So, yeah, it's a bummer. Do you think it's dead forever now?
I think that they're gonna try
Okay.
again. I don't know. I will say that I'm a part of, or I'm in like a couple discords and stuff like that are not as adjacent as we are
Sure.
to video games and specifically the industry.
Yep.
And it was very interesting to watch what forums posted and what those types of places posted, which were, yeah, this makes sense. E3 doesn't have a purpose anymore, and everybody can put their showcases online. What's even the point, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I mean, if E3 is going to continue with any facet of what it was at its peak, then no, it will never come back. If they want to return to an actual trade show, I mean, the issue is like they're no longer like E3 when it did what it was doing, and when it started to do a transition and to let people in, consumers in, it became a mesh of what GDC and PAX is in one show. And there was a certain value to both of those things happening at one time.
Yep.
The issue is that as E3 kind of like waned and that formula became easier to figure out, GDC got bigger, PAXs got bigger and also more numerous, and E3's importance, because it did not differentiate itself from either one of those two shows, waned. So long as they don't carve out a new piece,
sure,
that sentiment, like if you're trying to claw back and become what it was and have showcases, like most people have already moved on. It's been 4 years and they don't crave what the showcases had become anyway. They had turned into these weird pseudo spectacles that were overly scripted. We had some stuff in the Discord reminiscing about shit from 15 years ago, older than that. I guess was that the PS2 clip?
Yes, the PS2 clip.
So the PS2 clip,
PS3 is giant enemy crabs, and
No, but the one where, or what was it? The one where they walked in and said $2.99 and then he walked out.
Oh, the PS1. It was the PlayStation 1.
That was PS1. Jesus Christ!
Just walks in, says $2.99 and leaves.
So yeah, I mean, now we're talking more than 20 years ago. So way before we saw anything.
Yeah,
and those kinds of moments are gone because it is consumer focused, and that splash wasn't for anybody other than industry people. Like that was it. Like those, I mean, that and journalists, right? As much as an even more infantile scene than it is now. So I don't see it doing it again unless it tries to go back to like pre 2005.
What I think is likely to work. Publishers, developers, I know for a fact they hated the public stuff because the public stuff just made a mess of a situation that you had to scale back the kinds of
stuff you can show,
demos, the stuff you could show, because if you show something too early to the public, they will hold you accountable for it. As journalists, as industry,
I mean, that there was a big thing that happened around 2005 to 2006, and that was that everybody started to get smartphones. Then that coincided with them letting people in. There is no containment of information at all anymore with customers there.
And if a demo on the show floor has issues, then all of a sudden you're hearing about those issues. Say this game sucks. Look, this game's
Yeah,
horrible.
it's bad.
There was a
It's
bug
bad.
in the game. How can you even show this demo? Meanwhile, the rest of us know, the folks who are in the industry know, look at this type of thing and say, we know it has bugs. We know it has. I mean, it is a demo. It's something that literally they have to allocate resources to create a demo. So you have like 10, 15, 20, 30 people sometimes, maybe even more, putting a demo together, not including the marketing stuff that has to go along with it, for a show floor, which means there's so many concessions you have to make. And so when you get Joe Schmo off the street, who we love you, Joe Schmo, you're the ones who watch this. Also Jeff Keighley, hi Jeff. When you get Joe Schmo off the street and he sees this and says, this sucks, the demo sucks, and it defeats the purpose. So what's interesting is what Jeff Keighley is doing. I know we give Jeff Keighley crap, but really only for how he responds to certain things. He's happy that E3, because E3 spited him, and so he's very spiteful, but understandable. But what he's got right with his games and with the play days thing is hands-on time for journalists and outlets. Now, those they're way more vetted than stuff like E3. E3 have a big giant audience. You can have people from around the world show up, where you're getting, I think one year there was something like 6,000 journalists and like outlets and stuff from around the world checking out games and products. That's a massive amount of information, right? Now, the Summer Games Fest play days, you're probably looking at 200 at most. Now, obviously things have changed. Obviously there's more, social media, hopefully it dies, but social media is a thing, content creators, streamers, all that kind of stuff is a part of it, but it's a different type of audience, different type of setup there. So I know Jeff's Keighley stuff, the Summer Game Fest, is very small, very pared down, focuses on hands-on time for journalists. What's missing is the one-on-one interactions from businesses, from marketing, from platform holders, because some of the best things that happened at E3 were when Miyamoto would walk over to the PlayStation booth or the Xbox booth and play games, and that stuff happened. The developers would see things, they'd get ideas, they'd say, all right, crap, they're doing this, we need to up and it actually makes end products stronger from that standpoint. And then finally, like we said before, face-to-face meetings are so hugely important. The business side is not necessarily there for the stuff like Summer Game Fest. Now, we're going to have the showcases. I think doing streaming showcases are fine. Nintendo, everybody's been doing it for the last, 3 years, especially 4 years, and last 10 years if you're Nintendo. But the hands-on stuff is important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a person that, like, as a consumer of the content and the media, I prefer pre-recorded stuff. It's just cleaner, it's faster, it's less annoyingly cringy.
Right.
It's just the stuff on stage. It's like, that we can get just as much surprise moments off of a pre-recorded thing as anything else, right? If anything, sometimes more so, because they get to control the exact cadence of every part of it more than they can at a live show. So it's like that big moment is at their discretion, not at the discretion of the show. So like I said, those things don't matter. I don't know. I mean, I always loved E3, like, back when I was in high school in Dali, or I think 87
16 years into the I love
E3. So back, but back when I was in high school, and I still looked forward to E3.
Same.
But not because I was going to watch a showcase, because you couldn't see them. But because, like, you knew that a bunch of news about what was coming out was about to get to you, and that kind of thing. So I don't know. I want to go back to that. I mean, maybe I'm just nostalgic, but
I do too. I'm nostalgic about it, and I think, like I said, I think there needs to be some type of. I would almost be okay with the E3 side, with E3 handling the business aspect, Just let the companies
That's
get
what it's
together.
supposed to do
That's what
anyway.
it's supposed to do anyways. Let Keighley and the Summer Game Fest handle some of the game stuff. And then obviously there's indie things. There's because Summer Games Fest can't do everything. In order to get all that breadth of games, you would need a giant convention center, and that Summer Games Fest is not set up for that. I mean, it's just 2 days of
if anything, I mean, like, and as probably, I mean, this bridge is probably long burned.
Yeah.
But like once upon a time, there was a coalescing that could have occurred where Keighley was doing that stuff on the front end. ESA steps back. It's like, all right, well, we're just gonna do the show, bring everybody together. You're gonna run the front to keep eyeballs on the show, and it's not going to be the problem was that they couldn't put the genie back in the bottle because you can't all of a sudden say, all right, no more. The show's not public anymore. Nobody else can come other than industry. And they theoretically could have had their shot to reset it with after COVID, and that's not how it went.
I think I almost wonder if a part of it still has to deal with contracts that are signed for the LA Convention Center. Because if you own that convention center, if you have it signed, for the next 5, 10, 15 years, you're kind of screwed and you have to figure out a way to use it. And that means you got to get it to be paid. I don't know. I don't know that back end details type of stuff, but I do know that the Reed Pop folks I felt so bad for them because they honestly tried, and an
impossible task,
and a truly impossible task, because I think they knew what needed to happen. I think the ESA wanted something potentially a little bit different, and then the public wanted something different. So there's, I think
trying to satisfy the public was going to be always a failing option.
Maybe what you need to do. Here's an idea for folks. Ready? Here's an idea for folks.
Okay.
PAX LA takes place.
Oh God!
Hold on. Let me hear me out. Let the ESA handle just the business stuff, whether it's in a separate banquet hall somewhere, hotel rooms, whatever. Just be that portion of things. Let that happen, and the business stuff is done. Consumers still want to play games. We know how great PAX East is, right? PAX East, and it's more indie games, AA games, single A, AA games, triple I games, that kind of stuff. And there are always indie things happening. And one of the big things about E3 this year was the indie aspect. I know there were booths getting set up by indie developers who were excited to showcase their products. Have a PAX LA or a PAX Summer, which is just looking at, and it could be the size of PAX here that we had at PAX East. It's just, again, indie focused, smaller focused. Make it a true PAX. You don't have to invite Nintendo. You don't have to invite Xbox. They don't have to showcase their stuff, because all that stuff can be specific for the media at a different location. But you really can have this. You can have stuff happening around the same time, but almost have like 3 different avenues to go for. And maybe that's maybe you really do have to kind of blow things apart a ton. You have to completely separate them in order to get them to work. But I don't know. I'm the same way as you. I loved, E3. I'd get home from work and I would put on G4 and I would watch all the stuff from E3 week. And I looked forward to E3 week every year because I knew that they were going to be talking about games like from morning to night, like midnight. You would just hear cool stuff about video games on like G4, and then I would hop online and find out what like GameSpot and IGN were writing and all that. You'd be inundated with gaming news and get excited for the rest of the year, and you'd mark down because like pre-orders would go live that week, and you'd start marking stuff down. Like, I can't wait for this. And that was so cool, and that feeling is sort of gone. But yeah, I don't know. Bummer, but hopefully something comes back in some respect, but who knows. I want to transition to one last story here,
please.
And this is a good story. News popped up today on since we already talked about sales numbers and stuff. we now have sales numbers of the Steam Deck.
Oh yeah,
and it's doing really well. It sold 1.6 million units during 2020. This comes from Omdia and our friends over at Games Industry. Steam Deck's total console sales count to hit 3 million units this year. So sold 1.6 million units last year. I know. I think the number was something like 900, almost a million were just pre-ordered throughout the year, which is great numbers. Only pre-ordered through Steam, which is wild to think about, right? It's only pre-ordered once. Imagine if this was at retail. But those are fantastic numbers in it. They're looking to have 3 million by the end of this year, which I think is
which are projections. Did those projections come from Valve or no?
No, I think it's Omdia.
So this is a separate research firm. It's basically the entire year's worth of sales because it released in Feb.
Yes.
So it's interesting because you get. I'm interested to see exactly how those numbers pan out because theoretically there was a really, really big lead time, right? Because it was June of the year before.
Yes. All the pre-orders. Right? I remember June or July. I think it was July.
Yeah. July.
But I remember all of us pre-ordering and you pre-ordered like 3 minutes after me and yours was like third section in line.
I think I got mine. I got it right before PAX. So So it was like I got mine in March. March or mid-March.
Whenever it was.
Anyway, so the thing is that like how do you count sales, right? Because all of those reservations were put. Actually, it all would have been that year because you didn't get charged until it shipped out. So I would assume that that's how they're doing it. I mean, that's 1.6 million consoles. This is a device which is literally designed not to have mass appeal.
It is a niche. I want to say niche. I hate to call this a niche device because it's a highly targeted.
It's highly targeted.
It's highly targeted to a very specific user base, which is folks who already use Steam, who want to play their Steam games on the go and don't want to carry their laptop.
I think that their marketing is going to start to shift over to capture new people now that PR is out and now that it has an existing base. They're looking for people that have, especially, Apple has moved on from Intel chips. They're using their own silicon. And while that's really good and they perform really, really well, the one thing that they don't do is have greater support for games anymore.
Correct.
And I don't see that changing.
They never really.
It was never that great.
They said, "Hey, we got Resident Evil 7 working on our cool or 8, whatever. Cool, great, awesome."
Yeah, but my point is that it's only going to get worse.
No, completely agree.
You can't dual boot Windows anymore. So there was that angle that you could do before, and that's gone too. And so, I see that as like a potential, what they're trying to do is say, oh, you haven't had a huge Steam library or you haven't even had one at all. This is what you should get. You should get this and you can play and try out those games that you didn't have access to at all before. And I don't, just to pivot real quick before we go, because we didn't talk about this, which is the fact that it looked like it was an April Fool's joke. Because Asus announced this on literally April 1st, but they are making their own handheld controller-based gaming. So to call it anything other than the Steam Deck competitor would be kind of a lie. It is a handheld controller-based gaming computer. So it's going to be targeting the same exact demographic. We don't know any details about pricing or we know that it's Zen 4 and RDNA 3. So
this is the Ally, right? The
ROG Ally. ROG obviously is an Asus brand, but so to compare it, the only thing we know is the generation that the APU, the computer chip runs on. the Steam Deck runs on a mix of Zen 4 but RDNA 2. So RDNA being the GPU side of things, so it's kind of like one gen behind on the GPU. So if this is, all current with CPU and GPU running on that APU unit, it will theoretically it would be very weird for it not to be more powerful. It's also running a 1080p screen, which is higher resolution than the Steam Deck. One of the reasons why the Steam Deck can look good is by lowering that resolution display.
Yep.
The biggest question is, I personally don't see it dropping at like less than 600. Is like, wow, they really pushed it.
Where did they cut corners to get it to 600? Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, swear to God. So
battery life. We're gonna come to find out that it's 100% bait. It has to be plugged in. It's handheld.
It has to be plugged in. Asus has done really well with their gaming laptops over the last 3 years, which kind of positioned them to be in a place where they could do this. So, they know what they're doing.
They do. So here's where I start to think about things.
It's going to Best Buy. It's literally launching in retail.
So that's where what's really important. And I'm gonna phrase it this way because this is what I was going through my mind when I was just kind of thinking about all these competitors that are like Logitech has one. Yeah. Nvidia's had the Shield, which has been at Best Buy, I think, other places forever.
Both cloud devices.
Both cloud devices. Razer doesn't really have one. I think Razer may be the brand that could, I don't want to say challenge, but would have a chance to really chip away at the Steam Deck. Now,
it has the brand recognition.
Recognition, yeah. ROG, Republic of Gamers is what it was. ROG is what's important is how much they're willing to spend on marketing at Best Buy, at Target, at
probably Walmart. A lot.
It's gonna need to be a lot because and this is where I'm kind of going with this. Steam Deck is selling to people who know about games and about gaming, and whether it's PCs or not, a person who's a gamer knows a Steam Deck. They're gonna think, if I'm gonna get a portable PC, it's gonna be a Steam Deck. Now, grandma, let's say Aunt Vicky, who wants to buy a console as a birthday present, isn't going to go to Steam to order a Steam Deck. She can go to Best Buy. This plays PC games on the go. I'm going to buy this for my nephew. Aunt Vicky buying it for little Timmy. I think that's
classic $800 birthday.
Classic, yeah. But and really where I'm going with that is the broad appeal for that kind of stuff is going to be for the folks who don't necessarily, I don't want to say don't know enough about PCs, but it kind of is the folks who aren't as entrenched as the rest of us, like kids who want to get into it. I mean, of course, they're going to market this. They better market this with like Fortnite, with Call of Duty, with Elden Ring. They have to show all these images and these videos running on this thing in order to even kind of start to get that out there. But it's a different demographic or different market that's going to be aiming for those types of devices. Now, I want them to be competitive because it just constantly, the more you have out there, more competition pushes devices. It pushes, companies, hey, Playland, pushes companies to make their devices better. When there isn't competition like the Switch, it just stagnates for 6+ years, and we don't get a Switch 2 for that reason until finally the Steam Deck comes out and people start to switch over. No pun intended. But I think you're going to need to make sure that the Ally or devices like that are powerful and are marketed well enough and have tons of money, and they're given away it's going to be really weird because you have to market that with the PC side and with the gaming side. I mean, you're going to have to essentially have your own your own section within the game area. Like, here's the Switch, here's the Xbox, here's the PlayStation, here's the Republic of Gamers. Because if you don't do that,
so here's the question, right? Place like Best Buy. So I used to work for Best Buy.
Same, right?
Yeah, and
blue polos, baby.
And so we know what end caps and what that deal is. Asus doesn't have, it doesn't have blocks. It doesn't have end caps. It puts in gaming. it has end caps that it puts in PCs.
Yes.
Does it put this in PC? And if it does, which is a bad idea.
Yes, thank you.
Then it's made a pretty critical error.
The VR stuff was like the VR stuff had its own section
right
at Best Buy behind Apple, behind the Apple stuff, which is really weird.
I think it was still. I think that was the right move. I mean, they had obviously they had fun money to play with it. So they literally carved out their own section of the floor plan to make it happen. But yeah, I mean, if this gets its own little subsection in the PC section, because that's where Asus is, already has established foothold. I don't see it going well. People are going to be looking for a gaming device, a gaming console, and they're going to go to the gaming section to find it. You need to be. What?
Do you think Valve will put these, because they didn't do that with the Index, they didn't do other stuff? Do you think they would put the Steam Deck in retail? Or I mean, they have it in retail in Asia. They don't have it in the.
Do it for the second one. I don't see that. Okay. I don't see them pivoting to retail on this unit unless something changes where they get a deal that they were like, okay, Target came to us and was like, yeah, we want to put this device here and we're going to give it an end cap and you don't have to pay for it. And then they'd be like, okay, sure.
All right.
Target's like, we're going to buy out 1.5 million units. And you're like, yeah, go for it. If you want to wholesale buy those units, absolutely. That's the only situation. It's so beyond the pale that it's almost not worth thinking about because I don't see it happening otherwise. But for a second unit, especially you start to, if they sell through 3 million units through 2023, and then they start, looking at a second one. Honestly, I think the competition only helps something like Steam Deck. When somebody else is trying to meet the market that you carved out first, and you get that brain, like every time anybody's going to be talking about the Ally, they're going to be like, oh, the Ally that's the ROG version of the Steam Deck. That's going to be the conversation. And so that only helps Valve's position in the market. And, they talked about their interest in doing a second one. It's not coming this year. It's probably not going to come next year. I don't see it probably happening before 2025, but I could see that one hitting retail dev.
I agree, and I think if they sell the Ally as one of the interesting things they could do with the Ally with devices like this, I should say, is you can sell the game version, right? If you can't get into the gaming section, which I think is always bad to not get into the gaming section because you want that, especially next to all the Steam cards, right? You're going to sell this device next to you're going to sell the Ally or the Steam Deck or whatever next to all the cards that you use to get money to play games on this device, right? That's where you ideally want, or right around that's where you ideally want to sell this, because otherwise you can't really get games on there unless mom and dad give you a credit card. There's no cartridges, there's no disc or anything. A second option or second avenue is to sell this as a kit, as a sort of PC Lite, because you can have that. We talk about the docking station. You have to sell the dock. You have to sell a few things to show the versatility of something. You can sell this Ally and say, here it is. This is your handheld gaming PC. And then people are going to ask, well, how do I get? Okay, it's handheld, but can I get this onto my TV if I want to plug it in, like the Switch does? And they're going to say, well, we don't sell that here. You have to have those things readily available around wherever the Ally is, if Steam Deck or the Logitech version or the INA or whatever. You have to have all that equipment around there because people are going to be asking those. We know from working at Best Buy, excuse me, that people ask these types of questions all the time. I still talk about the famous Windows 95. I worked at Best Buy when we were transitioning over to Windows 98, and some dude came in and said, how come, why are you going to Windows 98? I don't want to leave Windows 3.1. And I'm like, but dude, you can't do stuff on your PC at all unless you upgrade your operating system to do some stuff, because there wasn't internet when 3.1 was basically around, and people refuse to upgrade, and they ask those questions, and so you need to have things like that available. You need to make it as easy, and it's gonna be realistic. But regardless of all that, these are great numbers for the Steam Deck. I think once Valve saw how well it was doing with the pre-orders, I think internally those numbers change, especially once supply started catching up with demand. They realized we got a good snowball going, and they're probably planning on potentially 1.5 million units a year, I would say. Yeah,
I would love to know how this shapes versus what they were expecting versus what they planned.
Sure. Yep.
And if it changes their outlook and stuff like that. The last thing I'll mention, because I don't want to, we're already at 45, but the one interesting thing from the Ally video was that it was advertising the eGPU that Asus is making. And it's a phenomenally bizarre thing to try and market for this device. So aside from being, I don't know if we have pricing. Asus ROG.
I don't think there's pricing for it yet.
Oh yeah, I mean they haven't done one in a minute.
Okay.
So they had one for the 3080.
Yeah.
And I want you quick test. How much do you think an eGPU that had a 3080 in it, along with some it has also docking capabilities. It has Ethernet port. I mean, because it's got all the got the video out. It's got some USB, and it's got an Ethernet port. How much do you think it is? 3080
eGPU. I'm gonna go with like $800.
$1,100.
Oh boy!
So your marketing, it has literally a specialized port to use Asus's the proprietary eGPU. I would assume that they're going to release one updated. This one was from 2021. You're going to launch this brand new handheld unit. And if you wanted to actually pretend like it's a thing that you want to try and sell, you're going to update this for the 4000 series cards. It's so ridiculous. I mean, granted, this feels very Razer to me. Razer also had an eGPU enclosure that they had that would go with their Razer laptops and stuff like that. We're mostly just it's just very silly to talk about, but
it really is.
It's just expensive. It's ridiculous to think about when you're going to be like, yeah, we have this, and then somebody's going to be like, well, what about this Steam Deck I've heard about? And Best Buy is going to be like, well, we don't sell it. But if they, if the person knows and be like, well, it's $400, you're like, can it play the games? It's like, well, it can play some game. And then they're just gonna be like, all right, whatever. I don't want this a thing anymore. I'm going to go home.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. I see those poor vendors at Best Buy all the time. And it's just really funny. But all right, moving on. Let's get into some of the games and things that we're playing. I want to start with. So I have. We're going to do things a little bit differently because there's only two of us, even though, Zach's not feeling it. JJ's at work. Sam is at work, I think. So it's just us two. But I do have a very special guest that will be giving a review. However,
oh my God,
you're going to see. I'm going to let you go first with whatever you're playing, because I think, so tell us what you're playing. I'll queue up a video or something.
That eGPU, by the way, is the mobile version of the 3080, not the desktop class version of the 3080.
Good Lord.
Just to put it in perspective. Anyway. Okay. Let's see Steam.
You open up that
library. What have I been playing? I've been playing two things. I started Tactics Ogre Reborn was on sale. I picked that up. I actually picked that up during PAX week, but didn't put that much time into it.
Yeah.
But I have put in 6 hours in it so far. It's a good tactical RPG. It's what's crazy to think about for me is playing what that game is and having done it and doing it on an SNES like back in the day.
God, remember that?
Fucking insane. I mean, it's crazy that this game exists. I mean, and largely identical to this. The main differences being obviously some of the 3D animation stuff and voice acting being not being part of it. But like, I mean, the game is crazy complicated.
God, yeah, yep.
Predates Final Fantasy Tactics by how many years? However many years.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know. It's just kind of nutty.
It's just so cool that that it came back. I ended up picking this up. I have it for the Switch. I just haven't cracked it open yet. It's
just like of all the things to come back, it's just like we're gonna remake Tactics Ogre. Like, okay, sure. But yeah, I mean it's the gritty stuff that's the grittier side of the Square Enix stories. It's just like, your Duke was kidnapped as part of a war squabble between two larger factions, and a brand of kind of like brigands show up, and they're like, yeah, we'll help you out because we're mercenaries and we need work now. And then the story unfolds. But 6 hours in, so not too much yet for me. But
nice.
It's it's good. I'm gonna keep playing that.
It's I think people were really excited for it, especially after Triangle Strategy was getting work, because Triangle Strategy is sort of a tactic style game, which I've been playing as well, which I think that's available on PC now as well. I think it's on Steam.
It is.
But Square Enix has been, I mean, obviously Octopath Traveler is, and I'll get into a game a little bit later, Live Alive meets Final Fantasy VI. And that HD 2D has spawned everywhere, and they thought, where can we put some of this HD 2D into with new games like Triangle Strategy?
Where can we get this? Where can we get this tech really
exactly
going?
Yeah, and then it's helped bring these classics back, because a lot of these games were
at least at least let me play the game that I mean they've had a couple remakes, but like it's not the game from 12 years ago that we're 2 console gens away. This is literally something for the SNES. So cool, but yeah, stuff. No, it's good. I'm probably gonna just slowly chunk through that one. Also, it runs great on Steam Deck, so that's welcome. And so does my next one, which is Dredge. So I think I was talking to Zach about this one. This is
the water one.
Yeah, so you're a fisherman.
Okay.
So you're a fisherman. You're boating yourself to a town to become. It's a town-sponsored fisherman, which is weird, but that they need fish, and you're about to get to the town. Your boat crashes, and then it kind of goes from there. I don't want to spoil too much, but basically, there is something wrong with everything, and you will find that out. The fog and nighttime makes you crazy, and there are monsters, and that's kind of Dredge. And then but the main gameplay is upgrade your ship, get new types of fish. Right there. Yeah, that's your ship. You get new types of fishing equipment, new rods, a trawling net, crab pots, oceanic type fishing equipment, and then you try and get fish and then sell them and then figure out the rest of the mystery.
But there's a fish. It's a mystery. It's a fish story.
It's a fish story.
But no, a lot of folks are talking about this game.
It's good.
I've seen it all over my timeline.
It's this mix of like weird and cozy, but also like chilling and eerie. It's not exactly there's not really that many jump scares or anything like that. It's very unsettling when it gets to the bad parts of the day. Sure.
Oh man, it looks really cool. Like I said, so many people are talking about
this. It pulls a lot of weight considering what it is.
You also playing this on Steam?
Yeah, so this is also on Steam. I've played it on Steam Deck and on my bigger PC.
Nice.
Both are good. You get to save a dog.
Oh, you can pet. You can look at
Yeah,
that. Love it. Love it. Sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
be.
Dredge is great.
I think we're gonna be talking about this game for a little while for sure because actually it almost feels like a Zach game as
Yeah, I
well.
mean, like I said, I
Actually,
was talking to
it feels like a Dolly game as well. So I think this could be nice.
Zach. Not he did not buy it.
Okay, I have it saved as on
But
my wish list on every platform it's available. So whenever it goes on sale, whatever the first sale price is, slide over, purchase it.
yeah, I mean, I put almost 10 hours into that one so
Nice.
far. And it's just one of those things where you can try and bum rush and push through whatever that narrative is. You can explore the whole map and just fish wherever you can.
Sweet.
There's the fishing is good.
Awesome.
There are, we've played some games where the fishing is like that. Fishing alone does not a good game make.
Sure.
So yeah, that's good.
Excellent. Look forward to that one. I want to talk about the Mario movie.
Oh
And
boy.
let me share because we can't really share the um can't share the trailer because Nintendo will take us down. I'll just share the web page. Yeah,
Classic Nintendo moment.
I'll share the web page and kind of flip through some of the posters. So um, the reviews are the interesting thing about something like Rotten Tomatoes is that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really always go into review scores. It just goes into positive and negative, and it's kind of a good gauge of what the majority of folks are sort of saying. Now, 56, that's middle of the road. Okay. Some might think 56 is a failing grade, if you're in high school or a junior high, whatever, but it's really 5 is middle of 10. From a plot wise, this movie is exactly what you think it is. Mario is a plumber who has a brother who have to go rescue the princess. That's it. From Bowser, because Bowser wants the star or whatever. This is all the stuff in the trailer. It's not a spoiler because there are no spoilers in this. The Super Mario Brothers movie is exactly like Super Nintendo Land in that it is essentially another way to retell Mario's history. So if you're going into this thinking, I want to see a heartfelt Mario movie, that's not going to happen with this first one because I think the whole purpose of this movie really was to make this sort of a timeless type of film where you can turn it on at any point in your life, 15, 20, 30 years from now, people are going to turn this movie on and be like, I want to see all those references again from all those games, from all those little, the Mario rap. This is a Mario history book opened up completely. So, shout out to Dan Hevia because they're watching about the Mario movie, so it's great. Hi to Charlotte, by the way. Hi, Charlotte. We're gonna talk about the Mario movie. We're not gonna spoil it. I really enjoyed it, and when I enjoyed it again from the standpoint of it's cool to go see this and see all of those references because you're gonna be sitting back going, "There's that from that game. There's that from that movie. There's that. There's that. There's that. There's that." And it's great. It's total eye candy. It's Mario history candy. Kids abso-freaking-lutely loved this game. I love this movie because we went with my daughter, went with a bunch of friends of ours, their kids. A lot of kids in the theater dressed up like Mario and Peach and Luigi, had hats on and shirts on. They all left the theater going, and this was cool. And then there was Mario Kart, and then the princess, and then Donkey Kong, and then this. They were madly in love with this because this was the movie that they wanted. The Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of critics, Rotten Tomatoes, and they're doing the right thing by reviewing it for adults. But you need to have, this is the kind of case where you need to have kids review this movie because kids freaking loved it. My daughter enjoyed it. She wants to go see it again, and she never wants to see movies a second time because it is all about those references. You're constantly going to be pointing to the screen going, I know that. I know that too. Oh, that's neat that they snuck that in there. The story is completely secondary. I fully agree with the critics in that the story takes a back seat. although it's not Double Dash, which kind of a bummer because that would be the Mario Kart that everybody likes. So there's no backseat in it. Just a joke. But visually, audibly, it's great. Voice acting was fine, surprisingly. Seth Rogen, fantastic as Donkey Kong, and Jack Black, fantastic as Bowser. I mean, you're going to go for those specifically. Cranky Kong has almost way too much screen time. I didn't, Cranky Kong was never a thing, but screen time there. And great little like references to Satoru Iwata. There's one little reference in there. Charles Martinet. Yeah. There's all those types of things that you would expect from this. I think seconds into this movie, you know what you're getting, and then the whole rest of the time you want to see how they integrate certain things. And I think that's what this movie is going to be. Jack Black is now about, yes, he lived this role. He became Bowser. It's funny because you watch the interviews with the folks, and like Jack Black, Seth Rogen, Keegan, Michael, they lived for this, for their roles. Like this for them, this was like the epitome of acting, it seemed, because they loved it. Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, the rest of the folks are like, we're a voice, hey, it's a voice. But I think yeah, what you're getting into it from a story standpoint. It is a video game that just plays like a movie, essentially. One big long cutscene is kind of the way to say this. But again, it's enjoyable. I'm not going to knock it for any of that kind of stuff. I'm agreeing with the critics, and as we know, it's going to make $1 billion. It's just going to rule the box office for a while now. And I'm actually more now looking forward to a sequel, which they're going to announce, but they have to, because I think the sequel will actually be something fresh and new to Mario, because there are so many references and Easter eggs, and like there is not a scene that goes by where you're like, oh, that's a character from this game, and that's a poster from that game, and that's referencing this and that, this and that. So yeah, it is exactly what you think it is going into it. And if you want to be inundated with Mario, if you like Mario remotely, you're probably going to go see this. You're probably going to see it digitally. You're probably going to see it eventually. I mean, it's the kind of movie where it's going to be hard to avoid no matter what you try. But yeah, enjoyable, not groundbreaking, but I think it's the best way that I was explaining it was, it's the kind of movie where you're going to watch it in 10, 15, 20 years, and you're just living off of those references just like you would any Mario game, because this is essentially one long cutscene from Mario. Look at the opening cutscene of any of the Mario games, of any Mario Kart, and that's what this movie is. And I think that, in the end, I think it ends up being a interesting and probably a smart direction to take it for Nintendo, because again, this is their year of Super Nintendo Land, so this is the Super Nintendo Land of movies. Yeah, that's it. Any questions, Taylor, or is that kind of?
No, I understood your presentation perfectly.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring it back to the board, and we will discuss your proposal regarding the continuation of the Super Mario Brothers movie franchise.
Yep. And again, Playland mentions the music. Really awesome how they use Koji Kondo's tunes in there. Every Mario tune that is in this movie. And every part of this soundtrack is a Mario tune that Like, they don't do anything new in this, because that wasn't the reason. It wasn't the purpose of this movie. And it's just, again, one of those interesting things where after I watched the movie and realized what it was, I thought, oh wow, that's it. They did exactly what they wanted to do, and this movie is going to be around, popping up for a long time, because it's a history lesson in Mario. So that's the Mario movie. Now, there's 2 more reviews coming up. One by me, and then one by the special guest. I'm going to talk about the one, speaking of family-oriented things, finally talk about the game that I've been playing, Peppa Pig World Adventure. Now, you might you might know, we were a Peppa Pig household. Now we're a Bluey household, only because of the memes. The memes are fantastic.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, you know Bluey, right? Yes.
I do.
Peppa Pig was the pre-Bluey. That's how we refer to as Peppa Pig now. But the first Peppa Pig game was essentially a series of like episode shorts. You know, there wasn't an ending. There, you just kind of play scenes over and over again until you get bored playing it. And it was fine. It was an adventure game for kids. Peppa Pig World Adventures actually has a start and a finish. There's actually a story to this game. The Queen is involved in this, which is really weird because she's a bus driver. Sorry to spoil it for folks, but it's kind of worth seeing.
You're getting me mad, Dally.
You're getting me mad, spoiling it.
You're making me mad.
You don't want to see me when you're mad. But the whole purpose of this is you create your character, like there's a little character somebody created there. You can create your family, and you can have any kind of family you want. So you can have all kids if you just want like a house full of different animals living together. You can have like 8 adults and 1 child. It's a cool way to really kind of create a family dynamic. But that's what you create, and then all the characters that you create take part in your story because you've moved in next door to Peppa Pig and her family, and you go on this play group with Peppa on your very first day there, and you find out that there's a cruise ship in town that's going to go around the world, and you get to see all the cool stuff that's happening around the world. And so your character, that's one of the first scenes, is riding your bike. Your character decides that they want to go on this cruise ship, and so you do. There's like 8 locations, I think, that you can go to all around the world. Let me hit this play button again on this guy. There's like 8 locations that you can go to, and there's a few little tasks in each one. So you kind of do some very basic sightseeing and kind of check out some landmarks. It's kind of funny because that's 8th one opens up after you've done some of the stuff in the other one, so they didn't show it there. It's like almost like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego for kids, because you find out about the Statue of Liberty, and you find out about Hollywood and different characters. You're finding out things kids are along the way, and it's not that it's educational or anything, but geography in a way. But again, it's just a simple. It's a fun little game. Like I said, have fun. This one has a story to complete, which the first one didn't. And it's almost like one longer movie of Peppa Pig rather than a bunch of short episodes or parts episodes like the first one. It's again a little bit more action than the first game. But
we all remember how boring that was.
Yeah. But it's Peppa, and it's enjoyable, and they got a formula with this, and it works. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Peppa's gonna go get a time machine the next time and go through time or something. I don't know what her next plans are, but it's already on sale like 2 weeks, 3 weeks after it was out, which I think is pretty normal for these types of games. And if you're a parent with a kid who is remotely interested in Peppa Pig, you can't go wrong with this, because it's a nice little experience for them, and it introduces them to adventure games, which is what we want all kids to be playing, so they can get some good adventure storytelling into there. So yeah, Peppa Pig World Adventures, bam, check it out again. It works great. I've been playing on the Steam Deck, which is a really cool. Oh, here's a funny story about that though. We had my laptop actually. I had the game downloaded on my Steam Deck, and I took my MacBook with me to a local coffee shop, and opened up Steam to this was like a couple weeks ago, a few days after we got back from PAX East. Actually, opened up my laptop to get some writing done, and opened up Steam to get some information on a review that I was writing. And I thought, oh, Peppa Pig. It said play. I'm like, I didn't install Peppa Pig on my MacBook, and I hit the play button. It was streaming it from my Steam Deck.
Yep.
Through my home Wi-Fi, through the coffee shop Wi-Fi to my MacBook. So I'm playing the Peppa Pig game. I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. The table next to us had 2 kids, 2 little kids. They saw that I had Peppa Pig. They came running over. First, I said, Mommy, he's playing Peppa. And my daughter's like, uh-oh, my mommy, he's playing Peppa. So the kids kind of would poke their head around the corner to see what I was playing. They're like, it's a Peppa Pig game. It's a Peppa Pig game. So yeah, I mean, they probably looked like they were like 7 years old, 8 years old. They looked right around that right around the age where you're kind of still into Peppa from 6 to like 6, 7, 8 years old. You're still kind of getting the tail end of Peppa there. But Peppa Pig is great for memes, which is what my now teenage daughter appreciates. So yeah, there it is. Peppa Pig World Adventures. It's a kids game, but it's put together well. Now, the final thing that we're going to talk about. I mentioned we have a special guest. Now, Zach said he couldn't make it. He could make it, and then he just disappeared. Didn't make it. Sam couldn't make it. He was working. JJ said that he was working, and yet he had a review to send over.
Okay.
And he sent me over a review and somehow ended up here on our podcast. Now, if I can get this up and running, where was the link here? Hold on a second. It is, make sure I have the right page. Okay, here we go. It is JJ, and he's going to tell us his review about Meg's Monster, which is cool, using a voice natural's text to speech. So he sent me his review. Let's see if this works. Tell me if you can hear this. All right.
Meg's Monster is a game that wears its Undertale influence on its sleeve.
Could you hear that?
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Meg's Monster is a game that wears its Undertale influence on its sleeve. I finished the game a while ago and don't honestly know how you even really review this.
Good to know.
On its surface, Meg's Monster is a simple indie RPG about a monster and a child in a silly buddy cop style adventure where you, the main character and monster named Roy, are reluctantly protecting a child that can accidentally destroy everything. Meg is a little human girl that's fallen into a trash heap in the underworld and is looking for her mother.
Very normal.
Humans are a resource in this world, a consumable good bought and sold as food.
Wow, terrifying.
So naturally, everybody she encounters wants to eat her.
Yes.
Except for Roy, who is obsessed with a black tar that is found in abundance.
Huh.
Roy is talked into saving the girl by his lanky sidekick Gallon. This is the part I'm having the most problems with, as I get into the combat.
Tell me, JJ, tell me about this.
The combat is all event-based.
It is.
Scripted.
Huh.
No random battles or side battles.
Really?
The combat aesthetically looks like Pokemon. Roy is basically indestructible.
What do you mean?
He has 99,999 HP.
Oh.
You're never going to fall in battle.
Well, then what's the hook?
The hook is that Meg gets worried when Roy gets hurt. Tagline: if she cries, the world dies.
Oh boy.
So if her worry meter gets to 0, it's game over.
What? That's crazy, though.
You can counteract this with items that are toys. You entertain her and make her happier again.
Oh, that sounds cute.
This sounds cute and unique unless you really just think about it and realize that the HP on the monster is fake and all they've done is rebrand HP and healing items. Also, the combat just gets boring.
Whoa, that's deep.
Every battle has a gimmick and every battle has story beats that dictate how the battle is going to go.
So it's scripted is what you're saying.
It's a game of resource management in battle, and it's fine for the first couple.
Okay.
But over the course of the 6 to 7 hours you're playing, it becomes more and more mind-numbing.
Wow.
The soundtrack is phenomenal and everything is designed and crafted with love and attention.
How much do you love?
I love all of the creature designs.
Okay, like who?
Roy has such a great look for a main protag.
That's good to know.
I just feel like I went into this game with the wrong mindset and it tainted some of my earlier experiences with the game.
I can see that.
With all of that being said, and how cruel I am to the combat, I love this game.
Look, what is it about, though?
This is a game all about the story, and while I may not have had all that much fun in the fights, the story itself.
Okay.
I was invested in the story with my entire heart.
You were?
I cared about the characters. I was drawn in by everybody.
Why?
I needed to know what came next. It was important to me. This game brought genuine tears to my eyes.
So you cried?
I cried.
I knew it.
Not a lot of games can say that. Did I enjoy playing the game part of the game? Not really, but even with that said, I think this is a game experience you must experience.
You cried.
It's truly a delight, and had I gone into it thinking of it as a visual novel instead of an RPG, it would have been easier for me to get over the shortcomings of the combat. I cannot recommend Meg's Monster enough.
Wow. Well, there you go. A strong recommendation for Meg's mom's going to play the trailer here. So, thank you, JJ. That was interesting. No, once he sent that to me, I did a little bit of digging, and a couple folks kind of mentioned the same thing, or similar, in that the combat it's fake. It's not meant to be actual video game combat. This is a visual novel that that you're meant to experience the story, and so I think it's kind of cool. It's a different take on what on this Pokemon-ish Monster Hunter, whatever JJ was talking about there. That could be kind of cool. But yeah, looks interesting. I'm gonna take a look at it. 6 to 7 hours. That's right up my alley, man. Because that is same. That's perfect timing, and anything that can get emotions kicking throughout because of that, I think that's something that that I can get behind. So, and kind of cool monster designs too. Pretty neat. Thanks, JJ. Very, very nice of you to share your thoughts on Meg's Monster. Hey, that's it. That's our podcast. Look at, we did it an hour and 16 minutes. We had that special guest of JJ, Robo JJ GPT show up. Talked a lot of good stuff and enjoyed our birthday celebrations. I'm going to eat this mini bundt cake now. I know it's already 10:30, but I have tomorrow off, so I'll exercise double time tomorrow. My dude, thank you for joining us.
As always.
As we come to discover, you've been podcasting with us for 8 years at least, right?
I'm pretty sure it's more than that.
Even more than that. We discovered our old Game Awards, the original Video Game Awards or Game Awards, whatever they were, the stream-alongs that we did from 8, 9, 10 years ago, and there was Taylor popping in on those too. I'm like, oh crap! I mean, he had some faces popping in that one. Dan Hevia was in one. It was in that same episode. I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember this now. It was so wild. It was
very jarring to see the backdrop of my first apartment. All of us unexpectedly.
My first home was in there too. I actually had hair that was
same
18 pounds ago. But yeah, no, it was good times. 14 years strong. We'll keep going here. We'll keep having fun. Make sure this doesn't get into business territory, like we said earlier. We keep doing it because we're just a bunch of friends. That's it. Just a bunch of friends who like to talk about games, and we like to have you join our conversations, and that's what we build up our community. So with that said, happy birthday, SideQuesting. You can find Taylor and I and the rest of the team and all of you, which are a part of our team. Our team is more than just us. The community, everybody over on our Discord, sidequesting.com. You can find the links there. You can find them on this post. You can find them in this podcast. SideQuesting TV over on YouTube and Twitch, and I think we're SideQuesting on Mastodon or whatever kids are using these days. I don't even know anymore. We'll see you on the next episode of The Side Quest. Happy birthday! Bye bye. Bye bye. Oh, I just knocked over the bundt. I knocked over the bundt cake, and there's cream all over the